for the average person, it's not daylight hours. But the main thing is we're here for our last show of this week. We're here Monday to Friday. If you want to catch us, we'll set a specific time, probably next week or in the coming weeks, and then you'll know when to check in if you really want to watch this show. And one of the reasons we're here today is we wanna chime in on something that's not a very nice subject to have to cover. And what's been going on in the Middle East is something I've done a few videos prior, but now me
Mm.
and Dan Keck are doing these co-hosted shows. We're going to be looking at these subjects together, and we both have our different takes, and sometimes we'll meet in the middle. Sometimes, like ordinary people out there in society, we may be poles apart. So that as you see in the title, we're going to be looking at what's going on in the Middle East, Gaza to be specific, and the tragic famine that we've been seeing on our screens. And it hasn't just started today or yesterday or last week or the month before. People have been talking about it for about a year now. I don't think the media wanted to cover it, or in some camps, it wasn't taken seriously. But how can you argue with what you see and hear on our screens? Now, mainstream channels are covering it, and a lot of YouTubers. And me personally, it's coming up in my feed on a daily. Um, I don't know. Have you been catching some of these distressing images and stories, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some little research and stuff in it. Famine is currently like affecting several regions. For instance, Gaza. Okay,
I mean, that's the
um,
specific one right now because it's
there's
man made. It's the sadness that
several
goes with it.
crises, and many people, including children, suffering from hunger. Yes, suicide. Sorry, and all kinds of stuff going on. So yeah, there's things going on. Sudan is facing like a severe situation with millions displaced, and Nigeria has large numbers of people, you know, um, experiencing acute food um things going on, and Yemen is also on the list. It's crazy. There's a lot of things going on,
What kind of gets me about
unfortunately.
this one in particular is that you have natural disasters, you have um, stuff that goes on within war zone, excuse me, two sides going at each other, and as a result, people are displaced, and everyday normal activities just kind of goes to pot, and people are left to fend for themselves. In this case, though, this has been almost like predicted, and different people who are more, how can I say, bold enough to speak about it. I'm talking about specifically people in the media who was bold enough to cover this aspect of what was going on. Because remember, there was a complete embargo for at least 3 months of this year, and something at the beginning of the whole conflict, nearly 2 years ago, where they said they're locking everything off. And the first thing that came to my mind is it
Yeah.
just took me back to some medieval times when, they'll surround the castle and say, nothing ain't getting in, nothing ain't getting out. And when your food runs out, you're going to open those gates and, you know, you'll become our vassal state, or, whatever happens, happens. You can go back to pre Roman times. We're in 2025. This is like AI era, digital era, and on top of that, you're talking about people who are miles away from where people are eating hearty meals, or, you know, their supermarkets and shops with shelves full of everyday groceries and, medical supplies and baby formula, whatever's needed. So the fact that this is kind of man made and engineered and predictable is what makes it doubly hard to understand. And also the fact that you still, while I said in the video earlier in the day that I feel the tide is slowly turning, as in the ability for more stations and more commentators and journalists to report what's going on. Um, the tide is slowly turning. At the same time, you'll still get people who will swear down blindly to you that there's nothing, there's ample food there, people are getting enough calories. This is something that's on the actual people who are starving. They're bringing it on themselves through one form or the other. And obviously we kind of know there's, it's, I don't know if you call it a war, because a war is normally two sides fairly evenly or slightly unevenly matched going at it. A lot of what we're seeing is civilian populations. I'm not going to go too far down that road. More on this famine thing. I was saying to you earlier, Dan, that it reminded me, or the only thing it reminded me of, was the Biafran War in Nigeria back in '67, and when
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, when the West first got pictures of those children with swollen stomachs, and you added, flies around their eyes, and uh, you know the images that people weren't used to seeing over here. And remember, we're talking like black and white TV. We're talking no internet, and information didn't travel that quick. um Although people were able to see those images, and they kind of took note, it shook the West and affected the direction of that conflict. On this occasion, this has been predicted, and there's no shortage of or means to get supplies through to the affected people, and they're not getting what they need. So it's a hard one to defend, I think, if you're coming from the other side.
Yeah, well, just to touch on some of that, we've got people that are reporting this and people who are supposed to be helping the situation with aid. You've got the World Health Organization, which is the WHO.
They
You
ain't
know what I'm
allowing
saying?
them in. They've locked them off.
We've got the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, which is the
They've locked them
IPC,
off.
yeah, which is the global standard for famine classification. You
Okay,
got
the assessment.
right. So you got the UN,
They've locked them off as
resources.
well. Gates are shut.
So it's taking the piss. I can't. There's not supposed to be starving people in the world. There's not supposed to be that level of starving people in the world. But there are,
If
there
you
are,
play the
and
devil's advocate, yeah, all these Western nations, you got the Union. Obviously, we know the final say rests with the US, and
mm,
you've got the age where everything is pretty much televised through social media and mobile phones, and the fact that we know there's no journalists allowed into that area, so the people who are reporting on it are also starving themselves. And what I heard
mm,
spoken about a lot is, particularly today, is the few medical staff and aid workers that are part of the community that have been, serving the the the, the serving the community that they're part of. They are now collapsing and struggling to feed themselves and their families, while they're extending their hands and doing a 12-hour shift to help others, often on one meal. And with all of that information, obviously we know the complexity in global politics, even when you're dealing with a matter that looks simple to the ordinary person. With all of that, there seems to be very little or very slow movement to just allow the aid through to the people who need it. And the saddest thing is, we know this isn't just affecting the people who are suffering now, particularly the younger members. That's going to be staying with them now for the rest of their days. Because, early development, psychologically, bone structure, if you don't get that nourishment into your body as you're growing from, you know, we are looking at 3 month olds, 1 years old, 15-year-old kids who look like they're toddlers. And Yeah, maybe 6 months ago, it was still an argument that we don't really buy into it. We don't believe it's happening. But the mass of images we're seeing now, how do
Okay.
you defend it?
I do hear you. I do hear you. And you know, this is what we're not. I don't want to. I'm not. We're not in conflict with what I'm saying, but what I'm gonna say. But Gaza is one thing, and I do really feel it for them because you know there's a lot of people. There's a lot of children, malnutrition children out there and stuff like that. You know, you've got ongoing Israeli military operations, right, and stuff like that, and they've devastated a whole lot of Gaza. You've got the large portions of Gaza Strip, especially in the
It's
north,
flattened. The whole thing's
have
flattened.
been it's
Over
just
seventy-five
reduced to
percent is
rubble.
gone.
You know, hospitals, schools, and refugee camps, you know, have been hit and making basic services like that impossible and all that. You know what I'm saying? So this is not a joke thing. Also, like the famine and malnutrition. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I saw videos of it. You know, it's crazy. You know, according to the United Nations, parts of northern Gaza, yeah, are experiencing like crazy amount of famine and conflict.
What
You know what I'm saying? Over 1.1 million people are facing like what you call catastrophic food, um, you know, like
deprivation?
deprivation. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Children, you know, children are the most affected with severe malnutrition.
They
You know,
don't store
it's just
fats, do they? They haven't had 20 years, 30 years of fat stores building up in their muscles and their bodies. It's like they're burning up what they get on a daily basis, isn't it? For the first how many
yeah.
years?
Yeah, humanitarian aid is extremely limited, you know what I'm saying, because of Israeli restrictions, you know, it's mad. But the thing is, right, you know, there's other conflicts that's going on in the world and things that, you know, it's very important to highlight too, like, you know, in Sudan, you know what I mean? Sudan's got some twisted stuff going on in it. And I'm like I said, I'm really about my people. I'm about people that look like me and are in a similar situation, except they're in far worse, you know, and like in in Sudan, you know, it's like it's probably incredibly dire, bro. Incredibly dire.
What was
You
the
know what I'm saying?
Biafran about?
Heartbreak.
Same thing, pretty
Right now,
much that
about
the
half the
Sudan
population,
war is about. Oil,
yeah, about 30.4
oil.
million people.
That's the conflict. One side has the oil, one side doesn't have it. That side wants some of it. That side doesn't want to give it up. That was the whole root cause, from what I understand, of the Biafran War. And I remember my mum
Yeah.
used to say to me at times that one of the worst things that happened to Nigeria is when they discovered oil.
Yes. Yeah. There's large lakes in Nigeria where it's just oil. It's not
Polluted.
even a flipping lake. It's just oil.
Yeah.
And then there's pipelines that are running through and in and out of there. And those pipelines, man is coming with his little
You know,
tired little
people are
boat
chaining
and
that oil, isn't it? Yeah.
cutting into the flipping
Self
pipeline
service.
to go and get some oil to go and sell it to make some money. The
Yeah.
thing, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's on a disgusting low level, and the country is a rich country.
Then you
All of
have Boko
Africa
Haram in those
completely
sides
and
too,
utterly rich. Exactly in
towards
the
the north.
north, right? You got them in the north, and you know what? I saw this documentary, fantastic documentary about Nigeria. Oh
Hmm.
my God, that documentary was off the hook. I saw it about maybe 4 years ago. And my wife is Nigerian, so
Yes.
that made me even more. And you know, one thing I realized is that you see, when they brought them two people together, that's what the
Hmm.
flag is. So the flag is green, white, and green, right?
Okay.
And afterwards, like that was the Europeans bringing together two completely different tribes,
They
okay, and
brought a
making them
bunch
live
of tribes
together
together.
as one.
I hear,
They
I
brought,
hear,
yeah, it's
I
two
mean, I'm
different
not that
tribes, but there's the north and
well
the
versed.
north and the south, the north and the south, and then they put it together, and that's what the flag is, with the white man, or sorry, Caucasian, with the European in the middle. They're the ones who brought it together, and this is why there's
The
so
British,
much conflict going on there. Yeah,
they took
so
charge, and as they did in India and various other parts of the world, they are very smart with the blueprint of how to manage and industrialize. excuse me,
they're,
these
they're, they're, they're also suffering the largest amount of
these lands.
displacement like in the world,
What
right?
I'd say though,
Millions forced from their homes, okay, and it's like it's truly a properly grave, twisted situation.
well, what I'd say, um, I heard this somewhere, on a history program or something. So there was reference in Africa and like India, Pakistan, those parts of the world, and they were saying if you look how the British colonized India, Africa, and is it Eurasia? I don't know what the proper their descriptions and categories of peoples are. From what I understand, they took the time to build railways with the is it the East Indian Company? I think that's the one. They took time to build railways so that they can get products and resources from one part of the country down to the other part of the country and then ship them over to Europe and wherever they need to go and do their back and forth trading. And that also enabled people from different parts to, mix and mingle and commute. Whereas with Africa now, they weren't too quick, or at least particularly with Nigeria, they weren't too fast with building any kind of railways or any kind of means for people to link one part of the country with the
No,
other
they
part of the
want
country. They didn't build
to
that
make it
infrastructure.
complete cacophony of mayhem and what's the word? Like chaos. They want to breed chaos, and I'm saying that because this is what I believe and what I think. I'm not saying anyone else should believe it. It's just my opinion, by the way. It's just my opinions, and I believe that they want to breed chaos, just like they did in India and many other places, including Gaza. And at the
This
end of
is an
the day, they
opinion
want to
based
do
show. I just throw that out there as well. And remember to like,
that.
comment, if you can take the time to subscribe. If you haven't yet done that, we really appreciate it. And we, between the two of us, take time to answer every one of them comments for now.
All them people, they're typically, the organizations are typically like on the ground, right? During humanitarian crisis, right? And these are verified people, and they're doing menially uh, things that I'm not. Listen, Africa is so vast and so huge that it's not an easy situation once it reaches that level of disaster. But um, I'm sure people do want help in those situations, and we know about the people in power and these presidents in these different countries and different states even
You do
that
have natural
are
disasters as well,
well, well, well,
droughts, floods, and,
yeah, yeah.
disruption caused,
Yeah, there's
natural,
natural
natural.
disasters. Yeah, because there's a place where it floods every year. Every single year, there's a flooding going on, and then one part of the village or town or state cannot actually access the other half. But that's only because they haven't built the correct roads,
Well,
or the bridges or the infrastructure.
you must have heard
Um,
some of the
I just
stories
wanted to
about
respect.
this building contribution to natural disasters, as in where they've built cities and down forests. They've taken away nature's traditional way of managing some of these droughts and floods, and now it's, you've dammed areas, so that whole area now, whatever ecosystem used to keep things balanced, is no longer functioning. And I'm not going to get into that carbon footprint thing or go down that rabbit hole for now, but just to touch on the surface, um, some of those natural disasters have been affected by man-made actions when it comes to
Some of them,
reaction.
yeah, yeah. But you know what? A point that I think is very important to make it is that all
Hmm.
these guys that are in charge, right? I'm just going to call them guys. I'm not going to call them leaders.
Hmm.
They are literally, what's the word?
And now women.
They're vibing off of what existed previously. So all the structure and everything, which is the greed and the all the money that's been made available to certain self race hitmen, people who basically outside forces convince to actually take a situation and make it worse by just simply following what they've been told, following orders, following mandates and whatever else the words are, to actually keep people in a particular situation, and we'll look after you. You can come to our country and
That's
get
the entire
medical help.
world.
Yeah, but Africa especially, let's keep it
Okay.
real. Our people there's a lot going on in what they've done, and these guys who are calling guys in power, right?
I'll say
They're
again.
literally, some of them, I believe
I'll
their
say
hands are
again.
tied.
I'll say again. And women, because look how many female African leaders there are now. You'll probably know
Yeah,
more
yeah,
about
yeah,
that than me.
yeah. Guys and women,
They
right?
can carry the can
They're
too
in
now.
charge.
Equal up.
They're in charge.
Equal
They're in
blame,
charge.
equal fame.
Yeah, they're in charge, and what they do is they're just doing literally. They're just working through habit and the way things have been set up. The infrastructure is literally set up to be corrupt. It's set up to be a, a handout from behind, and you just simply have to come and fit into that whole system of the way things are. And because you have to sit into that system, they find it difficult to actually break free. And if they say something that's a little bit out of, out of the ordinary,
Hmm.
then they're taken out as quickly as possible. I mean, taken out of power, not
That
killed,
was the
as quickly
tradition.
as
That
possible.
was the tradition. With all of the African coups, and you still got some of the arming one side against the other now. And then, Nigeria is a good example. How many military periods of military governance have they gone through? And then they go back to some kind of democratic
Yeah,
system. And then, well, I don't know about in this era now. I don't think it's as likely that you'll have military takeovers as frequent as it was in the past, but that's something that seemed to plague a lot of African countries and the Europeans, Eastern
well,
Europeans too.
well, they
Military
need to
rule.
take out. They need to take out that guy, the guy in Nigeria, man, the head. They need
What's
to
he up
take
to?
him out. He's a wicked and waste of time. The things that he's done and said. He also is against Ibrahim Traore, and there was a situation where he invited Ibrahim Traore over,
Hmm.
and Ibrahim Traore had to literally sit down and think about the whole situation. Ibrahim Traore, by the way,
What
is
was
the
the
leader
problem?
of Burkina Faso.
Sorry,
Yeah,
you were saying about Ibrahim Traore. He is
yeah. He's the leader of Burkina Faso,
okay.
military leader,
Yep.
who took over, and he's done so much good. It's incredible. And there's some other states now around that countries around that are actually taking up the gauntlet with him and are
Okay.
standing right alongside him. And what I love about him is about the situation is that Russia is siding with them and getting things out of it. There's education that is coming to Burkina Faso, different
Hmm.
levels of education. Um,
Have you noticed this
but
trend with the African and some of the Asian countries? I think the Latin American countries, they kind of they were in this particular political movement from they were well ahead of the African and Asian countries catching on to the trend because they were largely dependent on doing deals with the West, probably governed by the World Bank. Their infrastructure came excuse me, from Western corporations. And then about 10, 20 years or so, I've noticed a lot of these countries have been turned into the more communist um, type um, nations like China, and you mentioned Russia, for to do their deals, because that seems to be the only alternative to the Western packs. You know, the G, whatever they call them, I'm not sure.
GA,
They're all big clubs, aren't they? And then the
they're huge
alternative
club.
is who?
Nobody.
If you need roads built, power stations, massive infrastructure, and these are big, like, it's a lot of a country's GDP, I'm guessing, will go to fund these projects. So traditionally it was all going towards the previous empires, I think, for a lot of these
Mm,
countries. And at some point the direction seemed to change.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I noticed you got a video up there of
Oh yes,
the
excuse me. I
yeah,
just wanna drop a bit that thank you. I kind of almost forgot. Okay, we're just not gonna go into too much of it. It's a Channel 4 story from today, and this story is gonna evolve and gonna grow. And I'm just hoping that more sane minds will get to have a little bit of a bigger say or seat at the table and get this thing resolved. Because right now, I don't think it's about resolutions. It's about some other different kind of goals and aims. Even though the
It's
talk
about
is, we're
destruction,
doing our
man. They
best.
want to back the place. I just want
It's
to
a
say that
takeover.
all these ongoing Israeli military operations have devastated, like I was saying, Gaza, yeah, and all the infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? Large portions of Gaza Strip, especially in the north, have been reduced to rubble. Hospitals, schools, and refugee camps have
They
been
say it's
hit,
all gone. They say
making
everything.
basic
It's gone.
services nearly impossible. You've got, according to the United Nations, parts of northern Gaza are experiencing famine conditions.
Well,
You know what I'm
the
saying?
whole of
Over
Gaza, it's
1.1 million people are
it's the whole
facing
area.
catastrophic
It's two
shortages.
around 2+ million, and in those areas, as you said, 1 point something million, and
Yeah.
they're all experiencing it. Because if they said the aid
Children are
organizations
affected by nutrition
had four,
spreading over.
sorry, go on.
Yeah, children are the most affected, you know what I
Of
mean?
course,
Which is that this under
the
more
bodies haven't
severe
got the strength.
malnutrition, spreading over 100
I heard something
of
today.
literally hundreds.
I heard something
It's
today
crazy.
about the children. They were saying it was one of the teachers who still was able to run some kind of school activities, even though they don't have no school. So they was running their schools from run broken down building or tent or something, and they said it will give the children a distraction, somewhere to go, some structure around the madness. And they said what's been happening is that they've been trying to run the classes, and the children just haven't had the strength. And for me, it's you know more about this than me. Although from what I've seen of the nature of children and what I can recall from my own childhood, you got that surplus of energy. So for children to not be able to find the energy to run about and have fun, there's
Man,
something
I've seen it
really
on
serious going
I
on
was
there.
watching it on TV today, man.
This mother's
What was it on
face is
YouTube?
for a child she fears is about to die. Yazan is 2 years old, surviving on a diet of
This is Channel
aubergine
4, by the
boiled
way.
in water, which has to last for days. And look how easily his arm fits into his mother's hand, literally slipping through her fingers. The family lives in the bombed out ruins of Gaza City. They're all thin and hungry, and Yazan's parents feel guilty. Guilty that they cannot give their son what they do not have to give.
I
don't care if the war
That's bad.
continues, but let the borders open, let the aid in for our children. If we leave this boy, then maybe soon he will slip through our fingers. Maybe he'll die, and we didn't manage to do anything for him.
At a nearby hospital, 4 children have died of severe malnutrition so far this month. But aid workers in Gaza say the number of seriously ill has tripled in the past fortnight. So the trickle of dead may become a flood.
We are really worried this will increase and we end up with more deaths. We are also worried about the caregivers. The staff are not able to give full and essential help to the children.
They need it themselves.
Almost 6,000 miles away, the world's most powerful man was claiming wrongly that America is the only country to have donated aid to Gaza.
We gave a lot of money. We gave a majority of the money. And
Listen,
the sad part is
I'll
that
just say, I was kind of more for when it came to the recent American elections. I was more for Trump than Biden because I just don't think the direction Biden was taking the globe. I think it was, it's just I had a certain idea about it. So, and obviously,
To me,
when
Biden
you
is just a
when you
corpse.
when you're coming, there you go. When you're coming into something, you're gonna show
That's
a
my
different
opinion.
face. You're gonna show it. What is you saying, D?
No, I just said that's my opinion.
Okay.
Biden is just a corpse.
By the way, this is we just throw it out there again. This is an opinion show, so you're gonna get our opinions: hard, soft, fast, slow. So we just put
Yeah.
that out there. Um, yeah, I was kind of for Trump up until a point, and I did a video about this the other day. Why I stopped watching certain YouTubers, because there's this one subject, and it's been creeping in even before the last 2 years. This one subject, and it's like people just overnight, whatever their logic and beliefs might have been, they've just switched all of that off. And it's like, I'm just for this, nothing else. I don't want to hear, see nothing else. This is what I'm for. Forget science, logic. I'm telling you that this is the fact. And you're with it, or you ain't with it. And I'm like, that doesn't make a certain kind of sense to me. So, yeah, I've just had to put some things to the side. Did some channels, some commentators that I found them very educative and logical and balanced. On this one subject, nah.
Yeah, well, everybody sounds like the sun shines out of every orifice when before they get elected.
That's the one.
Because they say all the right things. They've got lots of script writers that
Yep.
that they literally follow the word verbatim.
And they're
You know,
feeling it too.
pardon?
Kamala was she was the scripted one. She was the non-improviser. Trump, what I used to admire about him, he's an improviser.
Yep,
Although
facts.
I agree with you completely that on the way in, you're gonna see a different kind of face. And they say that thing, you said it the other day, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And for a moment, I kind of wasn't even remembering that. Although the direction of what's been going on the globe, I think we're getting to that place now. I mean, 2016, I wasn't too much following, what Trump was doing before he got in the first time round. Yeah, it's a massive feat for anyone to have a gap and get back in. I think there's only one president in US history who managed to pull that off. Although
Mm.
the outcome, even with Obama, it don't matter who you want to call, Clinton, I'm not sure about Reagan. I can't quite remember. I was of a certain age then. Um, Once you get into that seat and the power and the people around you, you're gonna change.
By the way, do you know who the first president of the United States was?
No.
It's a black man named John Hanson. Okay, it wasn't oh, what's his name? I've forgotten his name. It wasn't him. You
I'm
know what I'm
gonna
saying?
fact check that.
It's fact check that. It's John Hanson. I
Okay.
knew this literally 25 years ago. I knew this information. And I didn't even fact check it then because Google wasn't even as available then as it is now. But since then, time has passed and proved and just come around and just proved it. So yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is before the
So
Confederates and all those people was in there.
so D, you're
Or
saying there's
or
documentation of this. Excuse me. You're saying there's
absolutely,
documentation of this in the US
absolutely,
history books. Okay,
absolutely.
I'll take your word for it.
I'm not going to say enough. I don't talk out of my ass. I talk from things that
I
I've
never
done a
said
little
that.
bits of research. And I know you never said that, brother.
You're talking out
I'm
of some
I'm
orifice though. I'm
talking out
certain
of
of
an
that.
orifice.
When
It's
I
not a
look
smelly
across,
one. That's
I see some words coming out of one of them orifices.
yeah. So at the end of the day, the orifice that I'm speaking out of, if that is what the word orifice means, okay, is one that I attempt to say as much truth as I possibly can,
Okay.
consider it. Yeah, within reason. So yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean,
What I've got here, D, it says,
mhm.
um, George, this is just going by Wikipedia.
Yeah,
So
George, what's his name? George
it
Washington.
says
Was
George
George
Washington was a
yeah.
founding father and the first president of the United States, serving from 1789 to 1797 as commander of
Okay, well
the Continental Army.
this is before that time. This is
Um,
before that, just before
well,
that time.
they didn't have a
And he
president
was
then,
there.
did they?
I'm talking about elected, I'm talking about elected. Okay. You do some research and you'll find out. The
So
history
you
books
say
all
he
need to
wasn't
be written.
elected?
Pardon?
You're saying he
I'm
wasn't
saying he
elected?
was. No, I'm saying he was elected.
Okay.
John Hanson.
So you're saying George Washington wasn't the first elected president?
He wasn't the first elected president. Correct.
Okay. Question to you then. Why do they have in the history books George Washington as the first elected president then? Just the
Because
question.
he was
Just putting
Caucasian.
that there. Okay.
That's the very simple, basic answer I can give you right now. Is because he was a Caucasian, and because they did not consider anyone who is not one of the people who came and raided the Americas to be human.
Okay, so okay, they do say first inaugurated president. So that could mean something and lend some weight to your assertion. What it says here is it says presidents of the United
I'm
States of
not going.
America 1 and 2 George Washington, 2 and 3 John Adams, then Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. Let's see if they have any information of what happened before
Okay, hold on. Let
George
me do
Washington.
some research. Let me
Yes,
bring him up.
yes.
Um,
Let's see if we can fact check this while we're here. And I've never really they got the names right on those faces they got on the side of the mountain there. Is it Hollywood?
it's not Hollywood Mountain.
Where
It's,
is it?
are
Is it
those
Washington?
mountains in the?
Where they got the faces of the leaders? Is that Washington or Hollywood?
Isn't that somewhere either near Niagara or somewhere near in the canyon? So the canyons. I don't know where it is.
I always
I don't know
thought
where
it
it is.
was. All right, let me get that one right as well.
I'll forget that. Let's deal with this.
No,
Let's deal with
while
this one.
while I brought it up, I'd like to just clarify and move on. Because I think at one stage Trump was thinking he might stand a chance of getting his face etched into the stone over there.
Let me put that in again.
Sometimes it's good to just clear these things up and it's done and dusted.
Who is John Hanson, and was he the first president
Oh, Mount
of
Rushmore
the United States
came back to me.
elected? Yeah, Mount Rushmore. That's it. Yeah.
Mount Rushmore. Okay, let me look up where is Mount Rushmore. Where is Mount Rushmore? Rush. It sounds like rushing for more, isn't it? Rushing for more power. More something. More empire. Mount Rushmore. The sculpture features the 60-foot tall, 80 meters heads of 4 United States presidents: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. And where is it though? Which states?
Okay, so John Hanson. Just
South
quickly
Dakota.
on this. Yeah.
Okay.
Who
Over
was
to you.
John Hanson? Okay, South Dakota. John Hanson, 1715 to 1783, was a Maryland politician and a delegate of the Continental Congress during American Revolution War. Okay, and in 1718 he was elected president
Sorry.
of the Continental
Can you start that again,
Congress.
please, Daniel? Slow that. Could you just run that again, please?
Okay, so John Hanson, which is from 1715 to 1783, was a Maryland politician and a delegate of the Continental Congress during the American
Civil War,
Revolutionary War, right?
the Civil
So
War,
let me finish.
or no? Just
Right?
a quick question:
That's right.
Is that the war between Britain or the war between themselves? Because
That's the war
I don't
between.
know no info about that.
That's the war between them and themselves. But,
Okay, Civil War. Got that.
No. Let me read on. Let me read on just to be
Okay.
sure. So it says in 1781 he was elected president of the Continental Congress under the Articles of Confederation. The first governing document of the United States before the U.S. Constitution. Okay, so he was the first U.S. president. Sorry, was he the first U.S. president? Typically, yes. He was the first president to serve a full 1-year term after the ratification of the Articles of Confederation. Yeah, there were actually 8 men who held this role before George Washington, but their role was mostly ceremonial, not
Well,
effective leadership. But officially,
okay.
no, he was not. Yeah.
You know why
So
they
yeah, that
say
was
there wasn't a president before um the dude George? Is it who? What's it, George Washington? Was it the first
yeah,
president? Or the
yeah.
disputed first president? They say is
Mhm.
due to the fact that the United States was still under British rule. So, like Canada and all the other Commonwealth and what's not, everyone had a picture of the king, I guess, on their wall, and he was the nation's leader. If you wanna, put it in its extreme kind of light, he was the head of state. He was the one with the final say, and I guess all these what's it called? Em- What's a country that is ruled by an empire? Um, I can't remember the word anyway. If you use another word, they were like vassal states to a degree. So they served you know, the conquering nation, which at that time, and these are my words, was the Brits. I mean, I'll just read out a little bit of this, and then you can take over. D in 1772. What year did you quote?
1781. I quoted.
1781. Okay, so it was just after that period. I get it. I get it. So this might have been when it all started to come together. It says in 1772. And another thing, we've got a lot of US viewers, so you might hear us spewing some info that doesn't really register with you. Please set us straight and clarify some of these points in the comments, because we really do know a lot of our history, and you're gonna know your history better than we could ever. So yeah, if you have a perspective on it, even if it's disputed, let us know in the comments. Here they say in 1772 there was a president of the United States. The first US president, George Washington, was not elected until 1789. In 72, the position of the president was not established as the United States was still under British rule. The American Revolution, which led to the formation of the United States, began in 1975. Why I find this interesting is, even though our history is British, it's connected to the to America just through that little period slither of time when America still answered to the British until they told them to, yeah, time for you guys to pack and get going. Hmm. What do you have to say to that, D?
Yeah. Some of that was I was getting distracted. I apologize.
Don't worry about that. Real time.
Sorry about that.
Real things, real
Sorry about.
time.
Yeah.
Real movements.
Yeah, because I'm actually going live on Facebook on my side phone here. So I've just ended that. But
Okay.
yeah, I was live on Facebook. Yeah.
I get that. I
So
get that.
yeah,
You were saying the first
it
president
says
of the
in
US
17,
disputed.
it says he was elected. So yeah, it was disputed. It says there's actually 8 men. Boom, boom, boom. It says, but officially, no. It's on here. It says officially, no. He was not the first president of the United States in the constitutional sense. That belongs to George Washington, who became the first U.S. president under the Constitution in
When they booted out the
1789
British.
with real effective powers. But it doesn't matter about the real effective powers. He was actually, so they're trying to say that no, he wasn't, because he didn't have real effective powers. But yes, he was.
Did they
Um,
answer to the
why
British?
now, this is the bit you're talking about. Why the confusion? Some people especially in brackets, especially certain Afrocentric or alternative historical communities, raise John Hanson's name in broader discussions about hidden histories. But there's also confusion with another man of African descent named John Hanson. John Hanson of Liberia, a black man formerly enslaved in the US, who later became a senator in Liberia in the 19th century. Those two John Hansons are completely different.
Christian, was it not the US who set up Liberia as a form of I know they had a place called Freetown that they said some of the slaves could move to and govern themselves in as an alternative to staying in the US, like a
Yes,
repatriation back to Africa. Was
yes,
Liberia
I've heard.
also set up in a similar way?
Yeah, I've heard
Or
some of
no?
that. But the other part is also that with Liberia, anybody can
Hmm.
go to Liberia. Any Nubian. I don't say black people. I say
Okay.
Nubian. Any
Yeah.
Nubian person can go to Liberia and get a Liberian passport and become
And
a
claim
citizen, which is what the
residency.
government have in place.
Damn. It's probably
Yeah,
something
and
to
get a passport.
to consider if things go south in the West.
As you like to say, tits up.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's the proper
You killed
wording.
me when you said that, Joseph.
Well,
So
well,
yeah,
look,
this
look
is
at
what's
this
going on.
picture,
There's a
D.
picture of John Hanson as well
I've
on the
just brought it
internet.
up. Check this, check this. Now, this is the picture I found of John Hanson. You know, some of these, because they were paintings, they weren't photographs. It's hard to tell whether there's artistic license, because I know some paintings were, they added a shade or took off a shade down to artistic license. So it's hard to know if that's the true likeness of the person. Like the emperor,
I've seen a different picture,
the
but
Roman
never mind.
emperor, the melaninated Roman emperor who just before the
Yeah,
Romans left the British to their own devices, who actually weren't British at that time, because the country was divided up to different tribes and stuff like that. He was yeah, he was melanated, and he for a time, and he lived for their lifespan back then. Like if you reach your 30s, you're like an old dude. And he lived, I think, quite late. He went on till, I don't know if it was 70s or late 50s. He definitely had big
right.
grown children. And he was the empire
Yeah,
ruling things. You know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
the models and stuff I've seen of him.
And the thing
And
I like about that, on another note, on a similar note, is that back in the day, people who were big people, or what we call big people in age, they were the ones that were ruling, not some of the young people who are upstarts who don't know too enough about life and life situations. I'm not saying
unless
all don't. There are many that do, many that are very highly aware of current affairs, current situations, and aware of the surroundings, and that are able to rule.
I think it changed a lot in the modern times, as is in if you go back, the more centuries you go back, the it's almost like the rule reversed, as in based on the fact that people didn't necessarily live in general for that long. So what we call retirement age now, that might be somebody in their 40s or probably mid 30s. I mean, I'm referencing, and he might be a wild card, Alexander. Is it Alexander the Great? Is that the dude
Great.
from the
Yeah.
around the Greek area?
Alexander the Great,
Yeah,
yes.
Mon something. They were actually from Greece. They was from somewhere
Mongolia.
beginning with M. Somewhere beginning with
Mongolia.
M. No, no, it was in the Greek, sort of like around the Greek islands. Though it was somewhere beginning with M. It might come to me later. And he lived to
Yeah.
21, didn't he? And by then he had conquered the world.
Yeah.
Literally built
Yeah.
universities in the Middle East,
Mm.
built cities after his name, conquered Babylon, had I don't know
I
how
didn't
many
know that.
wives.
21. I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's like I think in those like 100 years BC or whatever the AD, or I'm just ramping with
I'll
those
pull out.
terminologies,
I've got
not
a
being
map.
specific.
Yeah,
They
I've
they
got a
lived a whole
timeline
life.
map that I'll pull out later.
You have a what?
One of these. I have a timeline map that I will pull out one of these days that
With
shows
the
exact
AD
dates
before
all
Christ,
the
after
way through
Christ,
with people. Oh, way before
when the
Christ.
count
Christ is
started.
just
Well,
Johnny come lately compared to the great people who have lived before.
Alexander the Great, for example, he lived to, I think it was 21. And if you think of the years he must have lived in those 21 years, he probably lived like the life somebody would live,
Many
somebody in our
lifetimes.
era would be in their 80s, maybe, knowledge wise and experience wise.
Many
It's like they
lifetimes,
condensed it because it was a different
He was
world, different
he
movement.
came for a time, and he came and he conquered and he left. He
Wasn't he
did some
taught?
serious stuff.
Wasn't he taught by
I can't
somebody like
remember.
Aristotle or one of them real philosopher names?
I think he met all of those guys. Yeah, but I can't place exactly the information, so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
guess or surmise.
Yeah, state it.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
And we come
Yeah.
to
So
today. And how far have we come if we can't even feed those around us and be straight about describing what we see in front of our eyes and hear with our ears? It's like we've become so smart that we're redefining what the purpose of our senses are. It's like, well, ignore that. If I have the power, I'll tell you what you think you're seeing. Rather than, people probably use their senses more. July 356 BC. I take all of these dates with a pinch of salt. Macedonia, that's it. King of Macedonia, Alexander the Great, died June or unalived June 323 BC in Babylon.
Yeah, Babylon.
Damn. You know what? I'll tell you what, maybe it's that time that we have to start considering allowing our batteries to recharge so that we can get up and contribute for another day. And what did they say? Earn another dollar, another rupee, another pound,
Sign
another
up.
pence. It's getting to that
Yeah,
point
we can sign up.
in the
We
proceedings.
can sign up, brother.
I
So,
do
yeah, we
believe.
had a good little brief chat about the world, and
You don't have to sign out because you ain't signed into anybody. You're your own man. You know what I mean?
all right.
On your own piece of the platform, and you don't have to clock in. You don't have to clock. You can come and go as you please, mid live stream, or not even show
I love
up on
them warrior
Facebook
talk there.
to the previous
I don't
stream.
hear you say them warrior talk very often. So yes, go on, pops.
Well, you can not even show up to the earlier stream because you don't have to sign in or sign out. I'm jesting. I jest. Yeah, we did. We was doing a vertical stream or attempting a vertical stream. We did one a couple of days ago, anyway, fairly successfully. But with these things, technology, there's always some hidden little surprises, and
man.
we didn't quite make it to TikTok and Facebook simultaneously on a vertical stream.
Well,
So
I forgot to mention
we'll be
to
back
you
on that.
I forgot to mention to you, sir, that we or King, that I did have my live up. I did have a live.
You was on Facebook Live. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Look.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah. Spread the word, spread the knowledge.
Yeah. I had it up for us for a bit, so but now it's it kicked it ended. So it's all good. But so we've probably got about half of what we've just spoken about,
Well, you
and then
captured
it
some of
ended.
that knowledge
I
for your
saw
loyal
Ashiba,
viewers, followers, and subscribers.
That's on Facebook, so it's all blessed.
I think the more we can reach with our, humble opinions and commentary, the merrier. And again, please like the video if you remember to do that, and take time to leave your comments because we want to hear your perspective, even if we don't like what we're hearing. We ain't any kind of warring forces, so there would be no repercussions. We're
not touchy. We're not touchy people. We're not going to get caught up.
Nah.
As long as what you're saying makes sense, let's make that clear. If it's nonsense,
we ain't
you will
taking it
not
away.
get a response. You
Well,
will
you get
not
one
get.
from me anyway. You won't get one from him.
Well, yeah, you always get one from him. He's going to give one no matter what it is. But I don't deal with stupid people, and
He doesn't
I'm old
entertain
enough
it.
to know what stupidity is. I'm old enough to know what sense is, because guess what? Common sense is not common, right? So that means that there's a lot of
Not
people
in
that
this era.
use your common sense, and then you find a lot of grown-ass people don't have it.
What do
So
they used to say?
I think I'm wise enough to know. I think so. I'm not. I don't know. But I think I'm wise enough to know what is sense and what isn't. Like, we did. So you do get people that always say some random and some strange stuff and some racist stuff. I have no time for racism. I only have time for dealing with right knowledge, which is right knowledge, right wisdom, and that gives me right overstanding, not understanding. And because the word understand means, do you stand under me? That is a terminology from a law dictionary called the Black's Law Dictionary. And it's not Black's Law
Okay.
Dictionary because it has to do with black people. It's called the Black's Law Dictionary, which I'm going to be pulling some words out of later to show you the words that that some of the hierarchy in what you call the barristers and those kind of people use. They know how to, they use a completely different language from what everyday people use, and they all have a meaning. I'll give you an example quickly, is that there was a politician, or I should say an MP, which is a minister of parliament, that called a policeman a pleb. Do you remember that? That was
What
in
is
the
a
news.
pleb?
That was
The
all
bicycle guy as he's leaving Downing Street. Yeah,
yeah,
it
he was
slipped out of his mouth.
coming into Downing Street, or
Probably
coming in or leaving
having a bad
Downing
day.
Street. Policemen weren't having it with him with his bike, and he
No.
called the policeman a pleb. The policeman knew exactly what that word meant, and the policeman went crazy.
I don't know what it
Not
means.
not violently, but he made sure that everybody got to hear about his protest about that particular word, because he knew and overstood fully what that word meant.
Did that guy not lose his job in his position in Parliament as a result of that? Didn't it blow up into a big scandal?
He did. Yes, he did, didn't he? Didn't he? Because he called him a
believe so.
pleb. He called him
One
a
word.
pleb. That seems like a very simple word. I've been called that by teachers and back in the day, and some friend white people and some different other people. Just you pleb. But you know what? I didn't take it as to mean anything. But when you get to find out the full understanding of what that means,
emotional moment, everything's changed.
Yeah.
I mean, you drive, isn't it?
You know what?
So you know
that is the thing I love about Britain.
You're
right?
a driver.
Is that
you know how quick things can change. You make one wrong move.
They'll put their own people under a bus if they put a foot wrong, and they'll put their own people. So the thing is, that shows that they have to stick and honor to the laws and honor the laws that they have put in place. So if you turn around and
they're honoring it on a global level.
Yeah, you turn around and diss a person just like that, and using words that you think are just cool and fine to use to someone, especially that someone is so-called lower in rank than yourself. Nah. There we go. Great power is, what's the word? How do you say it again?
Great power comes great responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Thing is,
you see
though,
it there?
Just to sort of throw something on the tail end of what you were saying. Yeah, there is that historical, how can you say, I just phrase it differently, level of respect that goes out to historically the British culture with rules and the Magna Carta, and if you get exposed of being foul of whatever it is,
and the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, that's going over to America, which is also, you could say, to a degree, British people who were the first.
We put that in place.
What do they call them?
It's 2:00.
The first people who went to the States, not settlers. They were called I can't remember.
Prisoners.
No, that's Australia. You're mixing the two.
Yeah, and America.
Pioneers. No, not pioneers.
And America,
There's
brother.
another word.
That's facts too.
Indentured.
Yeah.
Although yeah, you know, the whole of Australia pretty much was built on well, indentured servitude, and you stole a loaf of bread, you're getting shipped out. It's that, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean. At least you're still living, I guess. Well, some people went over there and they did good, came back, you know, moguls or whatever. But most people, I don't think, fared that well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, although they built those nations.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what America. That's what America's built on. That's what Australia's built on. Yep. So it's one of those things. It really is. It's you know, it's to show you that
For a small country, they definitely
the world is
touched a
not
lot
as
of
it
parts of
seems.
the world. Hmm. And planted seeds.
Hmm.
And the most obvious one is the language. The most commonly spoken language, I suppose, second to what? Spanish? Globally is
Spanish,
English.
yeah,
Yeah.
or
How did
not
that happen?
Spanish. What's it?
French?
Not Spanish. It's Spanish, but what's it? What's the other word for? What's the other Spanish language?
Latin? No.
Yeah, Latin. I forgot. It's Spanish. Yeah, it's mostly Spanish. Sorry.
Española.
But yeah, yeah, and but really, apparently, that the highest population, dense population is Chinese, isn't it? So Mandarin is a very high level of spoken language, but they are
Although
not
it's not
giving us
global
the full
yet. It's not
of
globally
what Africa
spoken
is. Because
in different countries.
Africa, I mean, just Nigeria
Pidgin
alone has
English.
about 3,000
Pidgin English.
languages.
It's a version of English. I mean the pidgin. No, I'm not talking about the indigenous
Pidgin,
languages and
yeah.
real
They've got
languages.
about 3,000 languages in Nigeria alone.
But look at the
Isn't that
Caribbean
crazy?
again.
Yeah,
Broken English. So
yeah.
that seed has been like it's got a lot of
Mm,
spin-offs,
yeah. You know,
subcategories. Mm.
before I used to, back in the day, imagine that. I used to hate it when my friends used to say, "Oh, does your mom speak? Is your mom African?" I'm like,
Mm.
"No, no. Why are you
I,
saying that?"
I I
Because
I
why?
remember that
Because
people couldn't tell the difference. African and Caribbean, we was
because
all the same.
because because the patois, or the so-called broken English. You
English,
know what? Now I
what
realize that
pidgin
it
English?
all takes back,
Why
yeah,
do
it
they
all
call it
takes you
pidgin
back
English?
to
What's it got to do with a pigeon?
because I guess it's to do with a parrot. But
Okay,
the
parrot,
language, the
pigeon,
language,
they're all
yeah,
birds.
because the language is it's like when Nubians take hold of any language,
Okay,
when the way we speak it, it takes it back to some form of African, you
okay,
know, because when my mom was speaking
it's grounded
Saint
in
Lucian,
something.
God bless the Most High, rest her soul, when she was speaking
Mm-hmm.
African, I mean, sorry, Patois
Broken
or
patois.
Saint Lucian or
Yeah,
broken French,
and that's
it
it. The
sounded
islands have
so
different
raw,
versions of patois.
that
Mm.
it sounded like it was like some type
African,
of African, but
like it
but
wasn't
it's not.
English.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you
have to
know.
say I can't understand certain dialects are so thick in certain parts of the islands. I'll have to really tune in and I won't catch some words. And some words are
Yeah,
different. Then like new words have been thrown in that mix that aren't in the
mm,
dictionary. I just wouldn't know what they mean if it
yeah,
wasn't broken down and explained to me. So, yeah.
hmm, yeah,
We do have a knack. I'm talking about the people with the meneling of taking something and redesigning it, isn't it? Like reinventing it,
yeah.
remixing and rehashing, and then
We have a
and
knack
then
to do that.
and then that
We're
somehow gets taken back into the marketplace and
such
um
amazing people.
monetized. And you see, it's that sort of seems to be the disconnect. We do the inventing, we don't seem to have that knack of carrying it through to, the full Elon Musk cycle of manufacturing, getting paid, reinvesting that into the next idea. It's like we kind of tend to
True,
give it away and somebody
but
else goes and
also,
monetizes it
because the doors are closed to us,
because the game is
to
stacked.
enable to actually get it done the right way. Because
The game is
when we
stacked.
do have you must also remember that when we do have something that we see as new and actually can benefit many people, we go to the people who know, who are the officials or the
Yeah.
authority, or have
we
all the
believe can do
experts on
something
how
with
to
it.
do it,
Yeah.
and then they say, "Oh no, it's not going to work," you know. And then they put us
When
off,
you're
and we
out of
go,
the
"Oh,
room, it's
okay,
like, hey, I just
go back
discovered.
to the drawing." There
It's
you
gonna make
go.
me
There you
rich.
go. There was a
Don't tell Daniel
sketch by
though.
Richard Pryor. There
Yeah.
was a sketch by Richard Pryor. You remember that one? Where
You
there's
have
him
to
and two white guys,
remind
and
me.
they break into an Egyptian place, and
Yeah.
now there was a book there, and
Yeah.
afterwards Richard Pryor goes and sits down at the table and goes, "Hey, look,
Yeah.
you see, the black people, they were the ones who built the pyramids, and
Okay.
they were the ones who were the leaders and the mummies, and they
Mm.
did all this." And the guys are standing behind him. They're going, and then they go, and he's going, "Wow!" And they did this, and they discovered gold, and they did this, and after they start backing away,
Mm.
and then they went out of the tomb and they shut the door on him. Bam! It
Shut
was
the
a
shut the door
really funny
on
sketch,
the
but
dude.
very poignant, very
Oh.
poignant.
Yeah.
You know, they just
Yeah.
locked his ass in there, mate, and
Oh.
that was it.
Oh, you're saying they locked him up and then ran with the idea.
Yeah, they shut the tomb, and that was it.
Oh, I see.
You know,
Yeah. It's like, okay,
the whole.
we
That's
don't
where the
have to
sketch
share this
ended.
wealth. Damn, funny stuff.
Oh, there are the three mirrors, the six mirrors of Egypt or
Mm.
pyramids.
Yes.
Did you know that those pyramids are actually 8-sided? They're not
No,
actually they're not 4-sided.
I didn't know that.
When you look above, okay, you'll see that in the middle of each of them, there's actually a line, a bend
Mm.
that makes it not 4-sided but 8-sided.
Oh yeah, we need to do a show on that because that's some very interesting stuff, and there's a lot of contradictory opinions out there, even amongst the scientists. So yeah, we
Yeah,
could touch on that. We can.
there's a
We
great
need
man
to do a
himself,
show.
man, Richard Pryor.
That's the guy. That's the dude.
Mm,
That's the dude. Yeah.
yeah.
Homage can
Man,
be
you gotta
paid.
see the show. You gotta see a show with him, man, where it was a tribute to him, and they
Mm.
had every single top
All the giants of
comedian there.
comedy
All you bring
and black comedy.
giants of comedy, man. There was black, white, there was
Oh,
Europeans there as
everyone.
well, Americans there. Yeah,
Wow.
it was really,
Good
really
comedian's a
amazing.
good
They were
comedian,
all
isn't
just
it?
there talking about him, talking to him. He was sitting down there, he was being honored. He was alive and well, and he's sitting down there being honored, and all of them came up and did something. And Eddie Murphy
Mm.
did a whole sketch with him.
It's
James
nice of
Brown
them.
did a show there. Oh, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Huge.
That's really something. That's
Yeah,
respect, you know,
that is a huge amount. All of them had untold amounts of respect because he was the first black person.
amongst
I was going to
many.
almost that was able to go in amongst the normal everyday public and
Well,
actually curse out the whole place, right?
remember,
And in a comedic way, and people allowed him and respected him.
he reshaped the landscape before Bill Crosby. He
Yeah.
brought the a certain type of humor, and as a black comedian
Yeah.
as well, that was generally
Mm.
like they used to try to do with the music until Motown and Atlantic and some other labels when they tried to market it community to community, like segregated entertainment. He, I think, broke that mold or began to make a crack in that mold, and he took his humor to the he went across the cultures, didn't he? Probably for the first time
Right
on the
across.
global stage, world
Right
stage.
He talked about it in such a funny, humorous way that allowed everybody to laugh at
Yeah,
everybody.
at each other, at themselves. Yeah,
That's the real art.
that's real. That's
When
real
you
art
allow,
of comedy. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
Well, you know what,
absolutely.
D? I'd like to laugh myself to sleep if I could when we finished wrapping up here. And I know we both got a lot of things to do tomorrow, and we're going to be back here on Monday through to Friday again, isn't
Monday,
it? With more topics,
yeah,
talking points, and
yeah,
subjects. And who
yeah.
knows what's going to be in the news leading this time next week. Whatever it is, we're going to be touching on it in some way with our opinions,
Without
interpretations, and expressions. So
right.
All I'm left to say for myself, Owen Uajai, here at Corner Speak. Be good, be safe, be creative, as per usual. And over to Dan Keck.
Yes, yes, people, respects from Owen, Corner Speak Awadi, and I say, um, make sure to use your right knowledge or find as much of it as possible, right wisdom, and that gives you right wisdom. Then you will have the right overstanding to better your lives in a far more lucrative from all aspects way, that be physical, mental, and spiritual. You know,
And D,
that's what we're about.
I hope they write some comments as well underneath our videos. And click
Oh
that
yeah,
like
yeah.
if
Well,
you can.
I think we're gonna get some comments.
You write some of that knowledge in our comments, please. All valued and
Yeah.
appreciated. Thank you again, D. And
Thank you again, sir. I
appreciated.
have to stop saying sir.
It
Say
is
king.
mutual. It is mutual, my lord.
Yes.
Grandmaster Dan Keck of Mere Diamonds, ENT, not entertainment, ENT, capitals.
ENT. Let's go. Let's go. That's right.
We out of
And
here
Corner
then for
Speak.
now.
Peace and love and
We're gone.
blessings and guidance every time.